Superior's team provides first-class care with great communication, friendly installers, and quality fence products. There's a reason why Superior is the top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your new fence today.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
If you've got bad shoulders, knees, elbows, got sprain, strain, or pain in your muscles, PRPrelief.com, PRPrelief.com, best priced PRPrelief.com.
You dream it, we build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Gather the family when it's time to retire. Enjoy the warmth of a cozy fire. Now we're cooking in the great outdoors. That's what outdoor kitchens are for. You dream it, we build it. CSS.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
So much so that I had to ask around. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of a nice guy, right?
Hacker is an ass.
I try, as I'm getting into my old age at 39 years old, try not to let things bother me. Just know that I'm ultra soft.
And he doesn't shy away from opinions.
See Baker Mayfield throw 4 passes, but I get to see this homeless guy return a ball for a touchdown.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as the Kansas City Chiefs came into Jacksonville yesterday and defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars for the 3rd time in the last 310 days. We will certainly talk a lot about that. I got a interesting conversation that I had with a few Jaguar fans on social media that I will share with you about the game, about what it means moving forward, and all of that. So a lot of Jaguar talk coming up very, very shortly. In fact, Monday Night Coaching with Campo, our guy Dave Campo, our head coach here on Hacker After Dark. He joins me in less than 20 minutes as we will not only recap the Kansas City loss, but we will look ahead already to what is a gigantic game against an inferior opponent. But remember, this inferior opponent in Houston that comes in here on Sunday beat you last year at Everbank Stadium. Huge difference between 2-1 and 1-2. So we'll take a little preview look at Houston with Dave Campo coming up. Also, Jared Bailey of the USA Today, one of my favorites when it comes to talking NFL. We'll look around the AFC South and around the rest of the National Football League with Jared Bailey of the USA Today. That conversation comes up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. But as we do every night to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, so the Jaguars lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. Very unfortunate. They had everything right in front of them, right? Kansas City commits 12 penalties. Kansas City commits 3 turnovers. Kansas City only scores 17 points. And despite all that, the Kansas City Chiefs come into Jacksonville, the home opener of the Jaguars, and they beat the Jaguars 17-9. A lot of blame to go around, certainly on the offense. We'll get to that in a moment. But the overwhelming thing to me is this, and I'm guilty of it as well. I'm guilty of it just like you're guilty of it, so I'm not going to throw stones in a glass house. All offseason I talk about reality, right? July and August are the months for optimism. Reality sets in September. And to me, the reality of this Jaguar football team, at least where we are right now, on September 18th, is they're good, but they're not among the greats. All right? You can't lose to a team 3 times inside of a calendar year and proclaim to be on their level. I had people today on social media telling me that, well, Jacksonville is still every bit as good, if not better, than Kansas City. No, they're not. You don't lose 3 times to the same team inside of a calendar year and say that you're still as good, if not better. That's not reality. Reality is the final scores on 3 separate scoreboards. And on 3 separate scoreboards, in October of 2022, in January of 2023, and now in September of 2023, shows Kansas City with more points than Jacksonville. They are better than you. That is reality. Now, can that be changed? Of course it can. I'm not sitting here and telling you the season's over. I'm not sitting here and telling you Jacksonville cannot beat Kansas City down the road. But for the here and now, put that argument to bed about the Jaguars being on the same level as the Chiefs. They are not. And I had people coming in telling me, well, what about the 99 Jaguars? They were better than the 99 Titans, and the Titans beat them 3 times in a row. I got news for you. The 99 Jaguars were not better than the 99 Titans. Why? Because reality said the Titans beat them 3 times, and that was within 5 months. They beat them in September, December, and January. I don't care what the Jaguars' overall record was. The Titans beat them 3 times. Tennessee was better than Jacksonville in 1999. Just like Kansas City is better than Jacksonville in 2022/2023. So, we get that out of the way. Now let's actually talk about the game. Horribly disappointing. I mean, the defense played terrific. The defense played well enough to win. You know, like I said, I've been down to basically every training camp practice. I'm in the locker room twice a week. I'd like to think I have an idea about this team, and I was proven wrong in the first 2 weeks. That will not come as a surprise to some of you, I'm sure. The defense has surpassed my expectations, and the offense hasn't lived up to my expectations. That was bad yesterday. Now, why was that bad? We know it was, but let's talk about why it was. Well, and I'm going to talk to Dave Campo about this. For me, it looked like the Kansas City defense was ready for almost anything the Jaguars threw at them. Any trick play, any counter, anything along those lines the Chiefs seemingly were ready for. That was number one, which means Steve Spagnuolo, their D coordinator, did an outstanding job preparing them for the game against Jacksonville. Point number 2, the Jaguar offensive line got destroyed. They got destroyed. Let's call it what it is. It was domination by the Chiefs' front 7. Anton Harrison will be a good player. Anton Harrison will have better days. Yesterday, Anton Harrison was welcomed to the NFL by Chris Jones. Thankfully, nothing negative happened to Trevor Lawrence as far as injuries, because Chris Jones basically did whatever he wanted against Anton Harrison. I thought the interior was bad too. Barch, Fortner, Sheriff to an extent were getting pushed back. PFF, Pro Football Focus, graded Walker Little as the best of what was out there, but it was not a good offensive line. Not at all. And kudos to Kansas City. More physical, tougher on the line of scrimmage, deserved to win the game, played a better game up front. In fact, Doug Peterson today with the Jaguar media down at the Miller Electric Center, was asked about the offensive line, and he basically said, look, he's not concerned with the offensive line right now.
You know, I'm not concerned. I've seen these guys work together. One thing about the offensive line, one, it's a cohesive, close group. 5 offensive linemen need to play in unison with one another, right? There's got to be great communication. Starts with Luke, and of course then Brandon to Anton, and Barch out to Walker and all of that. And not concerned about the offensive line. It does take a little bit of time. I think if you look around the NFL right now, a lot of offensive lines that are sort of, whether due to injury or they're trying to figure each other out, and I think that's, we are right now.
Now the question is, and the question I had yesterday among many people on the fifth quarter, my buddies on text messages and whatnot, was that the ultimate problem? Was the offense completely out of sync because of the struggles of the offensive line? Well, let's ask Doug Peterson. Why was the offense out of sync yesterday, Coach?
Just because I think it was that struggle all day, just maybe not getting in rhythm and sync, even in the passing game, just being off. Timing of routes, depth of routes, the protection being a little off, helping out, when the backs can help out on DNs, being able to do all of that. It just felt like that was the struggle, right? And then ultimately trying to make a play, you press just a little bit. Coaches do the same thing. We try to make a play, to try to make a call that's going to get us a chunk play, and really we all just need to, stick with the game plan.
Now, it seems to me, listening to Doug Peterson today, that the first and goal at the 1, the quarterback bootleg by Trevor Lawrence, that might have been an audible at the line of scrimmage. And I'm not going to kill Trevor for that, because I'll tell you why. Did it work? Of course not, because we're talking about it. But the same exact thing happened in Nashville last year. They're at the goal line, and I believe Trevor audibled or didn't even tell the guys. He just pulled the ball down and ran it in. And the stiff arm heard round Duval on that Titan linebacker, scores a touchdown. Everybody thought it was great. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it's obviously a story. So their goal line issues, their short yardage issues have got to be corrected. I don't know what you can do about it. You've had an entire offseason to do something about it, and it's still a problem. I don't know what you can do at this point, but good grief. It is bad when you have trouble on 3rd and 4th and 1 to the extent that the Jaguars do. Doug Peterson, goes for it on 4th down a bunch as well. And yesterday, 4th and 5 at the 45, they go for it. They don't get it. Kansas City turns right around and scores. But again, that's what the Jaguars did in that 6-game winning streak last year. They went for it a lot on 4th down. They did it last week in Indianapolis, went for it a lot on 4th down. So I'm not going to praise the guy when it goes well and then crush him when it doesn't go well. If you're all in on Doug Peterson, which I am, which I would assume most of you are, then we're going to ride with him. If you want to go for it 4th and 5 at the 45, all right. Because if that would have worked, he would have been a genius. That was a game-changing play. Doug the Gambler, right? Well, if it doesn't work, you're going to crush him. That's Monday morning quarterbacking at its finest. No question about that. Finally, from Doug Peterson earlier today, it is week 2. Trevor Lawrence put a tweet out that the sun rose today, back to work, on to Houston. Doug talked about not being concerned because it is only week 2.
It's not a long-term concern at all. It kind of reminded me of the Houston game last year, here, where we didn't play very well, and lost that football game. Listen, it's week 2, right? It's one game. And half the league lost yesterday. We were one of those teams to lose. And we're still right where we want to be. You're still 1-0 and you're 1-1, but 1-0 in the division with the division game this week, and a lot of football ahead of us still.
Yeah, look, the loss was compounded yesterday because the Tennessee Titans won. The Chargers are a dumpster fire. Brandon Staley's not going to last the season. I don't know if you guys watched any of that. I watched some of it on Red Zone when I got home last night. The Los Angeles Chargers are just a bit – they commit the dumbest penalties on planet Earth. And how they lost that game to Tennessee yesterday is a complete indictment of not only the coaching staff, but just the absolute stupidity at some of the things that go on with that Charger organization. personal foul calls, late hit calls, just nonsense. So the Titans win in overtime. Indianapolis beats Houston. Good win for the Colts, although they're going to get Anthony Richardson destroyed in the process. Richardson's got to learn to get down, man. He's got to learn to go out of bounds. He had to leave yesterday with a concussion, and he's in the protocol. He had 2 rushing touchdowns before then, but he has taken some shots in 2 games. He has got to learn to get down. So in the division right now, the Jaguars are 1-1. The Titans are 1-1. The Colts are 1-1. And then you have the Texans at 0-2. Week 3, the Jaguars host Houston. They're a 9-point favorite right now out in Vegas. Tennessee goes to Cleveland. We're about to see the Browns on Monday Night Football. And the Colts go to Baltimore. So tough road games for Indy and Tennessee. Jacksonville hosts the Browns. It's so week to week. It sucks today. It may be great next Monday if the Jaguars take care of business. We'll get more into the Texans. But again, 9-point underdog, rookie quarterback. I get it. But that team came in here last year with Davis Mills and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember the Derek Stingley interception in the end zone? I think it was like 13-6. Just a horrible game. Horrible game. The Jaguars, you talk about playing down to the competition. The Jaguars absolutely played down to the competition last year when Houston came in. And hopefully they learn their lesson. And hopefully they go in there this week and absolutely take care of business. I am a little concerned about a hangover effect, whatever you want to call it. They put a lot into the Chiefs game yesterday. But again, get rid of it. Flush it. It's over. You can do nothing about it. Move on to Houston, which is hopefully what they will do. Dave Campo, Monday Night Coaching with Campo, coming up in just a moment. I will tell you there are 2 Monday Night Football games right now in Charlotte. The Saints and the Panthers, 6-3. What an offensive explosion this is. 6-3, New Orleans over Carolina. About 6 minutes to go in the first half. Coming up in less than 5 minutes, they'll kick it off in Pittsburgh between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh wins tonight, that's not far-fetched, right? They're at home. If they win tonight and knock off Cleveland, that will mean there were only 2 teams in the AFC at 2-0. Everybody else with at least 1 loss. Baltimore's 2-0. Miami's 2-0. Everybody else has at least 1 L. We'll see what happens. Cleveland trying to become the 3rd 2-0 team. Pittsburgh standing in their way. We'll keep you updated. Our head coach on Hacker After Dark is Dave Campo. Let's do a little Monday Night Coaching with Campo. Next, with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. A Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
On the field, he brought the boom.
I'll always be a linebacker at heart.
He brings that attitude to the microphone.
I'm Jaguars Today's middle linebacker, Kyle McMahon.
Friday from 10 to noon. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey, everyone. It's football season, and we wanted to go to the drawing board to make this year's predictions. Let's compare our 2 long-haired blonde all-stars. Most touchdowns, best pricing in the market, most passing yards, pays the most for your trade, most receptions, free oil changes with every purchase, Super Bowl champion, wow, customer service. I think we can make all this happen. Come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where you can score big all season long.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision and equal opportunity employer.
If you're looking for exterior solutions that provide you reliability and durability, it's time to call Armor Guard Exteriors. Whether you need seamless gutters or gutter protection, hurricane products, impact windows, glass lanais, or retractable awnings and screens, we've got you covered. Call My Home Team today for your 5-star experience at 904-906-8669.
Armor Guard Exteriors, committed to quality, and that's a promise.
Hey, Matt Hayes here. Expert Automotive is now open at our brand new state-of-the-art facility on St. John's Bluff Road. As always, every repair comes with a lifetime service repair warranty. Come celebrate our grand reopening by getting a free AC inspection, $50 off any repair, $199 brake specials, and free diagnostics all month long. Call 374-3373 or visit us at our new location at 2190 St. John's Bluff Road. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 18, 1966, Baltimore QB Johnny Unitas throws 4 touchdown passes in the 38-23 win at Minnesota.
Are you ready for the ultimate happy hour experience? Look no further than Bellwether, downtown's undisputed champion of good times. It's Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 7 p, with the exception on Friday when happy hour starts at 11 a.m. Rally the team and head over to Bellwether. The vibe is cool and the food is unbeatable. Free parking after 6 p on weekdays and all weekend. Bellwether Restaurant, where great food and the best happy hour in town come together for an epic win.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics, and look, I can't make it any simpler. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. You've got to reach out for a free consultation at 904-274-5522 and make an appointment at one of their branches, Mandarin or Ponte Vedra. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, there is a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bruce. Hey there. He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools, one bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on a Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. The Jaguars fall to the Kansas City Chiefs 17-9. The Jaguars now 1-1 on the year as the Houston Texans roll in for a key AFC South divisional game on Sunday afternoon. With that, let's review yesterday and look ahead to Week 3 with my friend Dave Campo, the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It's always a little Monday night coaching with Campo with us here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, how you doing?
Well, I'm okay, but I'm a little disappointed about yesterday. It was an opportunity lost because, I've been saying all week that I felt we matched up with them pretty good, and we did, and we just, they tried to give us the ball game, and we didn't take it.
Coach, all offseason I talk about reality, right? A lot of fan bases think the world, and then reality hits in September. I think reality hit me yesterday. I think the Jaguars are a good team. Heck, I think they might be a very good team. But at this point, they're just simply not as good as Kansas City. That's the third time they have played the Chiefs in 309 days. It's the third time they have lost to the Chiefs. And yesterday, Kansas City commits 3 turnovers, 12 penalties. You have them in your stadium for your home opener, and you still lose the game. That's just a clear indication that Jacksonville is not on Kansas City's level right now.
Well, I don't agree with you all the way. I mean, obviously, if you don't win, you don't win. But we match up with Kansas City. That was the ball game yesterday that, really could have been won by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And normally, as we went in with the ball on the 1-yard line, we should have won the football game or at least been tied and going into overtime. So, again, I hope we play them again, and I feel like we match up with them.
A lot of people, Coach, are talking about one of the things that you talked about. There's 2 play calls that are really bothering people today in the city of Jacksonville. The first and goal after the pass interference where they did a quarterback bootleg, lost 3 yards and never recovered and did not get a touchdown. Although, again, I remind people they did the same thing in Nashville last year against the Titans and won. It's amazing what the thought is when it works, Coach, compared to when it doesn't work. And the 4th and 5 at the 45 that Doug Peterson went for, the Chiefs stop them, ultimately drive down and get points on a short field. Your thoughts on those 2 decisions?
Well, the first one, the one on the 1-yard line, I'm of the feeling that they should have at least tried to attack them, one time. I think that the quarterback run works a lot better after you try to attack them inside, assuming that you're going to, if they don't score, assuming you're going to try it again, and then you hit the perimeter. So I think going to the perimeter on the first play is a little bit of an indictment on the offensive line. I think they went into that football game, Hack, feeling like they were going to have trouble blocking Kansas City. It showed up there. It showed up on the number of runs they used during the game, 12 to the backs. That, to me, I think they went in and thought themselves as far as whether or not they could block them or not. The one on the 45, the 4th down play, that to me is a mystery. I really love the fact that we are aggressive, but in that situation, up 3-0 and very little time left in the half, he should have kicked the football there. There's no doubt in my mind. If it was 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, maybe they have something that they can get it. And when you look at the play, obviously Chris Jones just whipped Harrison and got the sack there. But Kirk was opening up, coming up underneath, and Trevor looked like he was still looking downfield. At 3rd and 5, Kirk was over the first down line, and I really could have gotten the ball there.
It is Monday Night Coaching with Campo, our guy Dave Campo, with us every Monday here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, you talk about Trevor Lawrence. Certainly the numbers were not good yesterday. The offensive line was bad. I think that had a lot to do with it. Before we talk about, the offense as a whole, let's address the O-line, and do you feel that was the reason for Trevor's struggles?
Well, I think it was part of it. He did have a lot of pressure on him, and if you want to call a spade, he has not played in the first 2 games, in my opinion, of what we think of him. And I think he's got to look at himself a little bit in this situation. But I also think that the coaching staff has to look at it a little bit. You can't run the ball 12 times in a game, especially when the game is close, and think you're going to win the football game. You've got to run the ball to take the pressure off him. If your offensive line is struggling, with giving him time to get rid of the ball, the only way to handle it, you can't put another offensive lineman out there because the guys that are behind the guys that are out there aren't as good. Run the football and take the pressure off the quarterback so that he can make some throws without getting somebody in his face.
Yeah, 60 offensive snaps for the Jaguars yesterday, 42 called pass plays. Lawrence ran it 5 times. Who knows how many of those were called pass plays. They only had 13 carries by running backs, 12 by Etienne and 1 by D'Ernest Johnson. And if you look, Coach, at the 2 Kansas City games last year, it was the same exact story. Etienne has not carried the ball more than 12 times in any of the 3 losses to Kansas City. I mean, that is no longer a mystery. That is a trend. For whatever reason, the Jaguars do not feel they can run the ball against Kansas City, and they just abandon it seems.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say that same thing, and I was going to say that in itself tells you why they didn't run the ball on first down on the 1-yard line. I don't agree with that philosophy. Somewhere along the line, you have to balance your offense up. It doesn't matter whether you think you can run or you don't think you can run. You have to have a balanced offense in this league in order to be successful. If you open it up to where the quarterback has to throw the ball a lot, the defensive linemen in this league are too good for the offensive linemen to have to do that on an every down basis.
Coach, it wasn't all bad. Defensively, I thought really the first 2 games, quite honestly, the defense has kind of surpassed expectations. The offense hasn't lived up to expectations. I thought the defense yesterday certainly played well enough to win the football game. What did you think?
Well, I definitely think that they are playing better than they did last year. That's the key to me, because I don't think that they're going to be a shutdown defense. If it wasn't for all, listen, neither team could get out of their own way yesterday. When you have, I can't believe the numbers of 1st and 20s, 2nd and 22s, 2nd and 30 that Kansas City had. Well, that's a plus for the defense. The unfortunate thing was in the second half, they overcame a sack and a penalty, and we missed 2 tackles that allowed them to get 4th and 2 and give themselves a chance to score before the half.
It's interesting, too, as we start turning the page to Houston, just taking a look around the league, Coach. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, right? Those are the 5 guys that we talked all offseason about. They are a combined 3-7 through 2 weeks. Burrow 0-2, Herbert 0-2. The other 3 guys are 1-1. It's just interesting to me that the star quarterbacks in the AFC are all out to either rough starts or lukewarm starts here at the beginning of the year.
And the irony of the whole thing is that the guy that has been getting his butt kicked for a full year is Dak Prescott, and he is tearing up the NFC. He's like 82% throwing the ball. That's just an example of you don't know what's going to happen in this league from game to game. I would not be surprised at all if this week we have to fight our tails off to beat Texas. That's the way it works in the National Football League.
Couple of more for Dave Campo. Monday Night Coaching with Campo every Monday night here with us on Hacker After Dark. All right, Coach, let's get to Houston. And before we get there, let's get to today at the stadium. When Doug Peterson met with the team, they'll have a day off tomorrow, and then they'll really focus in on Houston beginning Wednesday. A lot was put into the Kansas City game. There was a lot of talk leading up to that game. It was a hard, physical game. You lost it by 8 points. You did not play very well. What's the message? Is it simply get rid of it, flush it, and let's start focusing in on the next job at hand, or do you worry there could be a hangover effect?
I really don't think there'll be a hangover effect. I think it'll be a tough game, like they all are, in my opinion. But their message is going to be, hey, we had a chance to win the game. We didn't get it done. Watch the tape. We'll talk about the things. If we're going to be a good football team, we have to be critical of the things that we've got to get better with. And then amongst themselves, the coaching staff is going to have to look at themselves as well. That's the first thing a coach does. If things don't go well and you're not executing, the very first thing that a coach needs to do is look at himself and saying, how am I teaching this? Are we doing too much as a unit now? What can we do to put our players in the best chance to win the game? So that'll be the coach's feelings on the thing, and to talk to the players, get it looked at, critique yourself, look at yourself, and then let's move on, because time waits for no man, and the Houston Texans don't give a darn what happened in our game yesterday.
It's interesting. I would normally be very concerned about a game like this. The Jaguars are a 9.5-point favorite. No one's going to pick Houston to win. Jags coming off a tough loss, maybe Houston circles the wagons. But thinking about it today, Houston came in here last year and beat them. Houston embarrassed Jacksonville last year. The Derek Stingley interception is one that we talked about forever with Trevor Lawrence. I almost think, revenge factor might be too strong a word, but I would have a hard time believing, Coach, that the players that were on the Jaguar roster last year aren't going to take the Texans lightly just because of what happened a year ago when Houston came in here and shocked them.
Well, I think that's all part of it. I mean, motivation is motivation. But the one thing you've got to hope with this team is that they understand that this is a long season and that you have to play every week. At the game, you look at that game yesterday. If they don't make one long run where we didn't fit it properly, and Herndon getting beat on that deep crossing route after the half, on the drive after the half, we win the game. So every game comes down to 2 or 3 plays, as you hear me say every week. And to me, if you've got the team you think you have, that's got to be in your mind, and you have to make a play every time you have an opportunity.
Coach, it's another rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud. He's got 2 starts under his belt. He's 0-2 to this point. Obviously, 2 starts, not a lot of experience. If you're Mike Caldwell and you're the Jaguar defense, probably a similar mindset to what you had against Anthony Richardson, right? And on opening day, try to confuse the young quarterback into giving you a couple of turnovers.
Yeah, they will definitely do that, but I think that they're good enough man-to-man to play with these guys as well. And so I think the combination of the two will make it difficult. I don't I haven't seen them yet. I haven't had a chance to really look at them this week. So in my mind, we should go into this game confident that we can do a lot of things against them and go do them.
I think, Coach, and look, it's such a week-to-week league as you talk about. It was so high last Monday. People were down in the dumps this Monday. If the Jaguars come back against Houston, a team they should beat, and if they take care of business, all of a sudden you take a deep breath, you're 2-1, you're undefeated at 2-0 in the division, you go to London for a couple of games where you play Atlanta and Buffalo before you return home to Indianapolis. I think 2-1 is good, right? Now, if you lose to Houston, goodness gracious, the conversation we'll have next Monday. But it's a big game this week from that standpoint. There is a massive difference, an ocean's worth of difference between 2-1 and 1-2.
Yeah, that is true. There's no question that this is a game we need to go in and take care of business and get it done. And one thing I can tell you right now is, from experience, the team forgets faster than the coaching staff and the fans about what happens in a bad ball game. So hopefully our guys figure that, hey, they can. I'm sure we still have confidence in ourselves, speaking for the team, and they just need to go out and take care of business.
Final moments here with Dave Campo, Monday Night Coaching with Campo on Hacker After Dark. Coach, as we wrap up this week, do you preach short yardage? Do you work on it more? I mean, 2 weeks in a row, the Jaguars cannot gain a yard. That's a problem, right? And you had the entire offseason to work on it. Whatever you worked on has not worked to this point. Is that an emphasis this week, the short yardage packages?
Absolutely. I mean, they've got to look at that. They've got to look at their third downs because, they haven't they've got to come up with some things to handle that, because for 2 weeks now they've been terrible on third down. With all the weapons we have, we should be better. So somewhere along the line, they either have to put, if they're having problems protection, they're going to have to put Trevor on the perimeter more. They're going to have to do some things to handle both of those situations. And that's what coaching is. You look at the things that you need to work on. I've heard Leon say it a lot of times. If you're having problems at short yardage, you gotta practice it. And that's something that I think they will do this week.
All right, Coach, leave us with this. I asked you this last night on the fifth quarter. I'll ask you it again. 1-1, Houston coming up on Sunday. Give a message to the Jaguar fan base heading into this game.
Relax. It's 2 games into the season. And to be honest with you, when you look at that football game, those teams were equal. They were really basically equal in that game. It was, like I said, it was 1 or 2 plays that made the difference. So there's no need to panic. Let's go about our business this week, get fired up for Houston, and let's roll.
Dave Campo, he's our head coach here on Hacker After Dark. We always love Monday night coaching with Campo. Coach, appreciate it. I'll see you out at 9-Ball Heaven on University for the 5th quarter Sunday evening.
You got it, Hack. Always enjoy it. Let's get the next one with a little bit of fun.
There you go, Coach Campo here with us on Hacker After Dark. And, yeah, look, relax, I think is good, right? Channeling our inner, who was that, Aaron Rodgers back in the day. Relax. But it is unfortunate that the Jaguars played a Kansas City team that did not play very well. Kansas City did not play well at all. In fact, they benched their $80 million tackle in Jawan Taylor for a couple of plays. That's how bad he was playing. And yet, despite all that, they still found a way to beat Jacksonville. There are 2 Monday night games going on right now, just an offensive explosion in Charlotte. The Saints lead 6-3, 37 seconds to go in the second quarter. Bryce Young, 8 of 13, 66 yards. Derek Carr in New Orleans, 13 of 26. 26 pass attempts in the first half for just over 100 yards. 6-3 Saints over Panthers. And in the AFC North, Cleveland and Pittsburgh are underway. Pittsburgh had a pick 6. Cleveland has answered with a field goal. In fact, Cleveland just missed another field goal. 5:50 to go, quarter number 1. Steelers on top, 7-3 over the Cleveland Browns. Coming back, we'll take a look around the National Football League, which was a very busy week number 2. I think you're starting to see some separation, or I guess in the AFC's circumstance, a lot of congestion. We'll talk about it next. Hacker After Dark on a Monday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL is your home for play-by-play of Bishop Kenny football.
This is Coach Krause of the Bishop Kenny Crusaders. We're back home for homecoming on Friday night, taking on West Nassau. You can catch all the action live on 92.5 FM.
Key Buick GMC receives up to $10,000 on select new GMCs, receives special financing on GMCs, rates as low as 0.9% for 36 months, or 3.1% for 60 months, even 5.1% APR for 72 months. Key Buick GMC always comes with the powertrain warranty when you buy a new vehicle, and always has the powertrain warranty. Across the street from Tinseltown, Southside and Gate, Key Buick GMC.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
At ABBQ, they are turning up the heat on game day with a spread that'll make your taste buds do a victory dance. Football and barbecue always play together. I'm talking mouth-watering wings, juicy burgers, and tantalizing appetizers that'll keep your hunger in check as you cheer for your team. Come for the food and football, and stay for the teal-colored Jell-O shots. Your destination for a mouth-watering barbecue and an unforgettable game day. ABBQ. Meet and drink with us.
It's time to play Fix That Air Conditioning Problem. What do you do when your AC stops working? Contestant 1?
Put a box fan in the window?
No, that doesn't really fix the problem. Contestant 2? That's right, just call the duck.
Don't let AC problems linger. Call the pros at Duck Duck Air Conditioning. Commercial, residential, any HVAC issue or project.
When you're stuck, call the duck. 904-862-6769.
Have you heard? 1010XL talk shows are on demand.
If you can't catch your favorite show on 1010XL, you can always catch it on demand
at 1010XL.com.
Brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Win cash prizes at UnderdogFantasy.com.
Post Game Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 2nd.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
The season is in full swing and the Jaguars aren't slowing down.
Got the pick six! Touchdown, Jacksonville!
Get down to Everbank Stadium for a classic AFC South showdown when your Jacksonville Jaguars go head-to-head with division rival, the Houston Texans. Tickets are still available for this matchup September 24th, but not for long. Get your seats now by calling 904-633-2000 or visit us online at jaguars.com/tickets.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Dempsey introducing Mike, a fellow Awaken 180 weight loss client.
I was on a trend where I was about to go over 250 pounds. My cholesterol was getting higher. Since I've gone on the Awaken 180 plan, by the way, I've lost about 50 points on my cholesterol. So I went in for my blood panel within about 60 days of starting the program, and it dropped about 50 points through my doctor. So he went on the plan. My own doctor, as a cardiologist, went on the plan because he was so impressed. He knew what my stomach looked like. He knew my build. I came in, and he just was astounded by the blood panel results. If I hadn't found Awaken 180, I probably would be on cholesterol medicine, higher blood pressure medicine. It was just a life of medication in front of me, and I didn't want that.
Mike, his doctor, and I all took control of our health thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. Become your own success story and call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Under 4 minutes to go, quarter number 1 in Pittsburgh. Steelers on top of Cleveland 7-3. We'll keep you updated. Again, Cleveland wins. There'd be only the third AFC team to go 2-0. A Pittsburgh win tonight means only Baltimore and Miami in the AFC would start 2-0. There is a log jam in the American Football Conference of 1-1 football teams. And in the cases of Cincinnati, in the case of the Chargers, 0-2. In fact, you think about this for a second. Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert, their teams are a combined 3-7 so far this year.
Just like we all thought.
3-7. Well, how about me, Denmark? My Super Bowl pick is 0-2 in the Cincinnati Bengals, the team I had winning it all. Now, granted, Cincinnati was 0-2 last year before they figured out whatever they needed to figure out. So maybe the Lightning will strike twice, but it has not been a good start. And Cincinnati's 0-2 in the division with losses already to Cleveland and Baltimore. So if you rewind the clock back yesterday, the Atlanta Falcons and Jaguars will see them in 13 days in London. They're 2-0 as they knock off Green Bay. Arthur Smith's got it cooking in Atlanta right now at 2-0. Desmond Ridder doing just enough to win. They spent a lot of money in free agency, and it's paying off right now on the defensive side of the ball. Buffalo righted the ship yesterday, destroyed Las Vegas 38-10. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs looked very, very good. The Bills improved to 1-1. How about Seattle? Here's how the NFL is. Seattle loses a home game in Week 1 to the Los Angeles Rams, a Rams team that was thought to be one of the worst in football, and they turn right around, go on the road into Detroit, a team that just knocked off Kansas City, and Seattle gets it done in overtime yesterday. You want to talk about parity? The very definition of parity, that is what it is in the National Football League. I brought this up earlier. Tennessee wins yesterday at home in overtime, 27-24 over the Chargers. I don't think Brandon Staley's going to last the year. In fact, I wonder if they lose a couple of more games. I'd have to look and see where their bye week is. I wonder if Brandon Staley lasts till Thanksgiving.
I think their bye week is week 5.
So it's early, so he'll probably last to the bye week. They are not happy in the City of Angels right now with Brandon Staley. They have played 2 games, 2 competitive games, albeit they were in both, but just stupid penalties, bonehead mistakes have cost the Chargers in both games, including costing them yesterday. On paper, there is absolutely no reason Tennessee should have beaten the Chargers. But the Chargers committing personal foul penalties and helmet-to-helmet and taunting and all of this just nonsense gave Tennessee extra life, and give Tennessee credit. They took advantage and got a nice home win against the Chargers yesterday. Raise your hand if you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2-0 early in the year. Denmark, you had the Buccaneers at 2-0?
No, I just do it for
Well, about
YouTube.
to say, yeah, that was a shock value there. Baker Mayfield, man. Baker Mayfield. Now, again, they've beat Minnesota and Chicago, but Tampa Bay, probably the most surprising 2-0 team out there. We mentioned Indianapolis. They win with losing Anthony Richardson to concussion protocol. Although you see C.J. Stroud yesterday, the quarterback that's going to come in here and play the Jaguars on Sunday, threw for 384 yards yesterday. They were slinging it around in Houston. They got some nice young wide receivers. But the Colts get a victory down there to go to 1-1. San Francisco, one of the 3 best teams in the NFC. They survive Los Angeles 30-23. Denmark, of the Eagles, the Niners, and the Cowboys, who's the best you've seen after 2 weeks?
I would say that it's either Eagles or Niners.
Eagles, Niners, Cowboys.
I would go Cowboys 3. I'd give the slight edge to the Eagles just because they got a better quarterback right now.
Yeah, I agree, but what I've seen, if Philadelphia survived, Philadelphia's defense is not as good as they were last year. Now, I know they lost a lot in free agency. Minnesota threw it all over the lot on them. New England put some points on them. Philadelphia better figure out defense pretty quick. Dallas has been hurting people. Not the greatest competition with both New York teams, but they've been hurting people. And San Francisco it doesn't even matter who plays quarterback for them, it seems. They're just that good, as those 3 appear to be the clear favorites in the NFC. And then I go back to Minnesota. If I'm the New York Jets, I'm calling Kirk Cousins. All right, I'm calling the Vikings. I'm saying, what do you want for Kirk Cousins? Cousins is not going to be in Minnesota next year. Everybody up there already knows that with his contract situation. It works out for everybody. The Vikings will get something for Cousins without losing him with no value. And the Jets obviously get a guy that can get them to the playoffs and maybe above that with the rest of that roster. I would be, quite frankly, surprised, if not borderline stunned, if conversation between the Jets and the Vikings isn't already going on for a potential Kirk Cousins deal. Now, the question is, what will Minnesota want for him? Because they're going to lose him next year for nothing. You can get something for him now, or if you're the Jets, do you play hardball? You say, we're not giving you a third or a fourth. We'll give you a sixth or a seventh because we know, like everybody else does, he's not going to be back with you next year anyway. So you're either going to get something from us or you're going to lose him for nothing. It'll be very curious to see, but if I was a betting man, I'd say Kirk Cousins and the New York Jets is likely to happen before the trade deadline. I might be surprised that it's not, if it doesn't happen. No question about it. Also, Washington wins, a crazy game at the end. The Broncos have a Hail Mary to make it 35-33, just a tip drill, Hail Mary, and then they don't get the 2-point conversion. The Commanders, a 2-0 team as well under head coach Ron Rivera. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk Kansas City. Let's talk AFC South and more. My friend Jarrett Bailey of the USA Today does a terrific job covering the National Football League. He's one of our guys here on Hacker After Dark, and he's next. Monday Night Football going on. 2 games right now in Charlotte and in Pittsburgh. They're at halftime. Saints, a 6-3 lead over Carolina. Beginning of the second quarter, Pittsburgh, a 7-3 lead over Cleveland. We'll keep you updated. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you, Jarrett Bailey, USA Today, coming up next on Hacker After Dark.
11 men work together for one common goal. But inevitably, there is one offensive player of the game.
He is a difference maker now.
Listen for the Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game.
That's how you finish right there.
On 1010XL.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Hey sports fans, it's Ace Carline for QC Kinetics, and look, I can't make it any simpler. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. You've got to reach out for a free consultation at 904-274-5522 and make an appointment at one of their branches, Mandarin or Ponte Vedra. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, there is a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522.
Life isn't the same without live music. Players Girl Mandarin has Samuel Sanders performing covers and original music this Friday at 8 p.m. Jam out with this local singer-songwriter while enjoying tasty food everyone can enjoy. Players Girl Mandarin, where the neighborhood meets.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Mike Dempsey here. As you all know, I decided to take control of my weight, and I called Awaken 180. Why? Because there's no BS, no gimmicks, no crash diets, no magic pills. You won't find me sweating it out at the gym every day either. Just 3 weeks with Awaken 180, I've shed over 17 pounds. I mean, my shorts are already falling off me. I'm down to a 36 waist, about to be wearing 34s, a size I haven't worn probably since high school. But here's the kicker. It's not just about losing weight. I'm learning along the way. My coach, Mandy, she is a rock star. She listens, gives me tips, and adjusts my program to keep things moving. And to back up their claim as the solution for weight loss, I'll receive free support for life after reaching my goal. So whether you've got 20 pounds or 30 pounds to drop like me, or maybe you have 50 or 100 pounds to lose, Awaken 180 is the choice to make. Call them at 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800. Or check them out online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
To learn more about the Jericho School Golf Tournament and silent auction at Blue Sky Golf Club October 21st, visit thejerichoschool.org.
Make a difference on the golf course, playing one of the best tournaments and help make Jacksonville a safer place to live and raise our families. The First Coast Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament is October 23rd at Amelia River Club. Call 398-5883.
The Knights of Columbus 5535 Annual Golf Tournament is November 6th at Glen Kernan Country Club. To find out how to play or sponsor, call 249-5535.
To walk in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Light the Night Walk on November 16th at UNF. Register at lightthenight.org.
If you're looking for an adventurous career, the U.S. Air Force offers valuable training, higher education, medical care, and experience. To find out more about a career in the Air Force, call 545-2460.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Follow every Gators game on 1010XL. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors, the official window and door replacement company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
The YMCA provides after-school care programs for kindergartners through middle school at over 40 sites across the First Coast. Our programs focus on safety, health, social and emotional growth, and academic enhancement. At the Y, your child can build self-reliance, get help with schoolwork, explore new talents, and develop healthy relationships with others, all in a safe, nurturing environment. Plus, financial assistance is available. Learn more at fcymca.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Texans, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as the Jaguars look to rebound from last week's loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. With that, we're 2 weeks in to the NFL regular season. Let's talk Jaguars, AFC South, and look around the rest of the National Football League with Jared Bailey of the USA Today. He's certainly one of our guys here on 1010XL, and we always appreciate him joining us in the city of Jacksonville. Jared, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Jared, we're good. All right. Kind of a shot to the solar plexus, as Gordon Solie used to say, here in Jacksonville, with Kansas City coming in and beating the Jaguars 17-9. Jaguars now 1-1 on the year. Your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, and the Jaguars now 2 weeks into the year?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird game. I think most people expected it to be kind of a back-and-forth encounter and a little bit more high-scoring than what it was. But, yeah, I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence yesterday, 22 of 41, 216, no touchdowns, no interceptions, was sacked 4 times, finished with a QBR of only 17. It was uncharacteristic of the Jaguars. And I think early on in the season, we're going to see a lot of teams kind of have stinker games that, are a little bit out of character, but a lot of teams are still trying to get into the flow of everything in the regular season. So I'm not putting too much stock into that. I picked the Jaguars to be the number 1 seed in the AFC coming into the season. I'm not, turning away from that. I think both teams kind of played, a little bit of a weird game for what their standards are. In terms of, Lawrence and Peterson, I'm not dissuaded from anything. No team is going to play 17 perfect games where nothing goes wrong. They went up against a really good team that got 2 of their 3 best players back in Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. And Jones' impact was very noticeable in terms of, the pressure that they got on Lawrence. and just what he was doing. I mean, he had a sack and a half by himself and was constantly getting in the backfield and disrupting plays. So I'm not putting too much stock in, in terms of saying, oh my goodness, the sky's falling in Jacksonville. I think it was just a game in which, regardless, they only lost by one score. It's just the offense couldn't really get much going. And, it's early season. I don't think that, it's time to panic.
I tend to agree with you. The only thing that does give me a little pause, though, in relation to Kansas City, that is the third time the Chiefs have beat the Jaguars in a calendar year. And I got people telling me that Jacksonville is every bit as good, if not better, than Kansas City. And that's fine if that's your opinion, but I'm going to go based on reality. And what reality is in the last 310 days, these teams have played each other 3 times, and Kansas City has won all 3. So I don't know, and this is to Jaguar fans, how you can feel that you're every bit as good as KC when you can't seem to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put them in that category. I think that Jacksonville is very good. And when you look at, different parts of the team, like Jacksonville obviously has better overall weapons, especially at receiver, than the Chiefs do. And I think Trevor Lawrence at his very best is a top 5 to 7 quarterback in the league. But when you have Mahomes and you have Andy Reid, it just seems like the Chiefs are always going to be, one of the 2 best teams in the league and always going to be contending for a Super Bowl. Not to say that the Jaguars can't do that. I mean, they were a playoff team last year and they got better on paper going into this season. But until we see them kind of take that leap and, beat a strong team in the playoffs, whether it be, a Cincinnati, a Buffalo, or a Kansas City, it's hard to put them in that category already. Like I said, I think they're going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC just because they play in, a weaker division. They have an easier schedule and, almost all of their, hardest games are played at home. I think that that's going to benefit them. I think that we can see a deep playoff run from them. But as of right now, September 18, 2023, can we say they are in the same category as the Chiefs? I wouldn't say so.
Jared Bailey of the USA Today here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jared, I want to get to the Texans and look around the division and the league, but a final thought on the Kansas City game. Well, what we thought coming into the year was that the Jaguar defense needed only to be average because the offense was going to outscore people. And I got to tell you, I don't think the offense has lived up to expectations 2 weeks in, but I think the defense has surpassed expectations. I thought the defense played well against Mahomes, which is a credit to Mike Caldwell and that staff.
Yeah, I agree. We're seeing guys in the front 7 step up. It's not that their front 7 was bad. Quite the opposite last year. It's just I think they just needed a guy to kind of step up and be the unquestioned leader of that group. And I think Foye Oluokun has kind of been that guy. He had 10 tackles yesterday. Guys like Devin Lloyd were around the ball all day. We're seeing Andre Cisco make plays. And they're starting to get plays from the guys that they really needed to step up. And that's a very good sign. So in terms of the defense, yeah, when you hold the Chiefs to 17 points, I mean, that's a hard feat to accomplish. It doesn't matter what what time of the year it is, how far deep into the season you are. If you do that, then that was a pretty good performance. They scored with the Kelsey touchdown and whatnot, but the defense really kept them in the game throughout the afternoon, where the offense was sputtering, couldn't really get any sort of momentum going, and even when they did get close to scoring, it resulted in field goals. So credit to the defense. When we talk about the Jaguars, all the attention goes to Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley and, all the weapons that they have on that side of the ball. But the defense really stepped up against the Chiefs. And that is one positive to take away from it, is that maybe the defense is going to be better than many expected.
The Titans got a big win on Sunday when they defeated the Chargers in overtime. They're now 1-1 on the year. Ryan Tannehill was awful in week 1. He was very good in week 2. They go to Cleveland on Sunday. What's your thought on Tennessee 2 weeks in?
I think that the Titans benefited from playing a Chargers team that has zero discipline and will always find a way to mess things up. Where you look at there was a sequence in that game where the Chargers could have gotten off the field twice in one drive and stupid penalties negated it, and then it resulted with Ryan Tannehill running into the end zone. And that was ultimately the deciding factor where, okay, if you get off the field, either you hold them to a field goal and the game is in the favor of the Chargers, or it gets punted to the Chargers and that touchdown never happens. It's just the Chargers have zero discipline, especially on defense. And this is the second straight week we've seen it cost them the game, where in week 1, J.C. Jackson was called for a pass interference at the end of the first half, on a completely dumb penalty, and the Dolphins kicked a field goal to win. And then this past week, just penalties really negated any chance of them succeeding. Like, you look at that game, Derrick Henry didn't eclipse 100 yards rushing. Justin Herbert threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over, and the Chargers still found a way to lose. I think this is more about the Chargers just being the Chargers rather than Tennessee being any sort of threat in the AFC South. I really don't think they are. I think Vrabel's a great coach, but there's no juice on that roster right now that really scares anybody. I love their front seven. Their run defense is very good, but in terms of offense, man, like, Derrick Henry hasn't looked great throughout the first 2 weeks. The pass offense, like, Tannehill was god-awful in week 1. Week 2, I mean, he was better, but I think the story was more of the Chargers messing it up rather than the Titans being, some potential threat in the AFC.
Jared Bailey of the USA Today. That brings us to Houston and Indy. Indy beats them on Sunday to get to 1-1. But Anthony Richardson's not going to last the season if they keep doing to him what they're doing. Now, he's got to learn to get down, but these quarterback runs, he left the game with a concussion against Houston. He was very good before that, but he took some monster shots in week 1 as well against the Jaguars. He's got to figure out really, really quick, Jarrett, that he's got to get out of bounds, he's got to get down, or he's not going to last the full year.
Yeah, I think Anthony Richardson kind of has that Josh Allen gene in him where he's always going to try to fight for extra yards. And that's something that Shane Steichen will have to coach out of him. We saw Jalen Hurts be successful, and we continue to see him be successful running the football, and he's very safe and smart about it. And that's something that Steichen is going to have to instill in Richardson. Yes, he's 6'5", 250, but at some point, you got to play for another down. Those 3 yards aren't worth sacrificing an injury. Like, he'll learn, and I have all the confidence in the world that he'll learn. And I have a lot of confidence in Shane Steichen because the offense was still really efficient, even with Gardner Minshew under center. So that was my biggest takeaway, is that, okay, Shane Steichen seems to be the real deal for the Colts. And yeah, Richardson looked really good. He had the 2 rushing touchdowns, and he already looks like, a guy that's going to be a force in the league. It's just a matter of, can he be smarter as a runner, and can he be more efficient as a passer and grow into being a more efficient passer while kind of learning on the job at the NFL level? So as long as he learns to be a safer runner and can, progressively become a more efficient passer, got all the confidence in the world in Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen to be, a potential force for years to come. It won't be this year. They'll be fun to watch this year. I don't expect them to be, a wild card team or anything like that. But like 2024, I think the Colts could be one of those teams that we're talking about contending for a playoff spot.
I remember last year the Texans came to Jacksonville and everybody thought, oh, this will be easy. This is the Texans. And Jacksonville fumbled and bumbled and threw interceptions and ultimately lost the game in embarrassing fashion, quite frankly, to Houston. And now here the Texans come in again in week 3. They're like a 9.5-point underdog at the time you and I are talking. And look, I don't think the Jaguars will have a hangover effect, but they did have a hard-fought loss to Kansas City. The quote-unquote lowly Texans are coming in. Do the Jaguars need to be concerned on Sunday at all?
I don't necessarily think they need to be concerned, but they can't take the Texans lightly. I personally like what I'm seeing from C.J. Stroud. He threw for almost 400 yards and 2 touchdowns on Sunday. So I think he's taken the necessary steps so far in terms of, being what the Texans need him to be. Nico Collins had a really nice day. Tank Dell, the rookie out of Houston, looked good as well. The story in that game was more so on Richardson and the Colts and just how they really ran away with it in the first half. But in the second half, the Texans didn't give up. And if the Jaguars get off to, a nice lead and whatnot, they can't take their foot off the gas because, D'Amico Ryans is going to coach that unit really well and instill, a never say die effort in them. So I think the Jaguars are going to win. I don't think that they can take Houston lightly. 9.5 does seem kind of hefty in terms of spread. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans covered that. They were a big underdog week 1 as well to the Ravens. I think they opened up as a 10.5-point underdog. Obviously the Ravens played well enough defensively to take them out of the game. But I think if Stroud keeps progressing the way that he is early on already, this could be a little bit more of a game than people expect. I still think the Jaguars will come away with a win, but they can't just, trot into week 3 just assuming that they'll be 2-1 when all said and done.
Final moments with Jared Bailey of the USA Today. Again, the Jaguars and the Texans, Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll get it right here on 1010XL Radio. Jarrett, when you look at Trevor Lawrence Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. Their teams are a combined 3-7, including 0-4 for Burrow and Herbert, respectfully. I mean, what is going on with the good young quarterbacks in the AFC early on?
Well, for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, they're really mirroring what happened last year. Last season, Joe Burrow didn't have any training camp, didn't play in the preseason, and the Bengals started 0-2, and he played really, really poorly in the first 2 weeks. This season, Burrow, no training camp, no preseason, and he's played really poorly throughout the first 2 weeks. So they're quite literally mirroring everything that happened last season. So that's why I'm not too worried about Cincinnati, just because they did the same thing last year, and they still were within a couple plays of making it to another Super Bowl. With the Chargers, though, we already talked about it a little bit. They lack any sort of discipline, and it's very evident that Brandon Staley should have been fired in January after the playoff loss. You've got Justin Herbert, and they bring in Kellen Moore, who's supposed to be this godsend offensively. The offense looks largely the same as it did when Joe Lombardi was there. So with the Chargers, it's not so much on Justin Herbert. He's played really well throughout the first 2 weeks. It's more so on the defense still not being able to consistently stop anybody, and Brandon Staley just not being a good head coach. And they play the Vikings this coming week. It is going to be potentially the most hilarious football game any of us have ever watched between those two teams who seem to find a way to always give away victories. I don't know what's going to happen, but if the Chargers start 0-3, they have to seriously consider getting rid of Staley before the season's even done, because him coming into the season, he should already be on a short leash. If you start 0-3, there's no reason to keep him around after the first 3 weeks of the season. There's just not. So pay attention to that. I think that's going to be something that people are going to be monitoring a lot. And if I'm the Chargers, there's no excuse to keep him around if they lose that game.
Two final thoughts in the NFC. You mentioned the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, that's the name we're starting to hear anyway when it comes to the Jets. Zach Wilson was terrible yesterday. Now his offensive game plan didn't help him at all, but he threw 3 picks, and they get boat raced in Dallas. Is Kirk Cousins a name that'll pick up some steam if the Vikings continue to struggle when it comes to the Jets quarterback situation?
It should, because if you're the Vikings, one, what are you if you keep Kirk Cousins around throughout the entire season? Like, they're already 0-2. You look at how they played Thursday night. Kirk Cousins threw 4 touchdowns, didn't throw an interception, played as good a game as he could, and they still lost by 6. That is your peak right now. And he's in the last year of his deal. He didn't get any extension, and he's not going to be there next year. He's going to go elsewhere. So what's the point if you're the Vikings in keeping him around to begin with? Where, okay, they're not going to keep him next year. They're not going to be a Super Bowl team with him this year. What's the point of keeping him? At this point, the Vikings are better off trading him and committing to just being really bad for the rest of the year and trying to get Caleb Williams or Drake May. Because going forward, that takes care of a lot of issues. You don't have Kirk Cousins money on your books. You can take care of Justin Jefferson and pay him the way he wants to be paid. And then you've got Drake May or Caleb Williams in a Kevin O'Connell offense that's going to be really easy for them to succeed in. So, yeah, 2023 would be hard to watch for Vikings fans, but the overall long-term future would be so much better if they were bad this year. For the Jets, it makes sense to try to go after Cousins where, okay, he's in the last year of his deal. They don't owe him money long-term. It can just be, kind of like a hockey trade, like at the trade deadline when a bunch of contending teams just trade for guys on expiring contracts. They're pretty much just hired guns to try to win a Stanley Cup. I think that's what the Jets can do here with Kirk Cousins. He'll be a hired gun for 2023. They'll go all in, try to win the Super Bowl with him, and then wish him well regardless of the result after the 2023 season. It makes sense for both teams, especially, for the Vikings, planning for the future, trying to get a future signal caller. Because without Kirk Cousins, they are a bottom 5 team in the league. And for the Jets, you can win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins in that defense. So makes sense for both sides, both money-wise and for the long-term future. And for the Jets, the short-term future of trying to win a Super Bowl.
Jared Bailey of the USA Today. Jared, we're out of time, about 60 seconds. In the NFC, the thought was Philadelphia and then maybe everybody else. But the way San Francisco has looked, the way certainly Dallas has looked, and Philadelphia maybe struggling a little bit, even though they're 2-0. What's the hierarchy in the NFC right now, 2 weeks in?
Top 3, I would go 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles. Yeah, you're right. Even at 2-0, the Eagles have looked just weird offensively. Jalen Hurts hasn't exactly looked great. 49ers, they took care of business against the Rams, a Rams team that's got a lot more fight than I think people expected. Puka Nacua was making history at receiver. But yeah, their offense is still really in sync. They scored 30 points again. And Brock Purdy missed 2 potential touchdowns. So it could have very easily been 40, 45 points had those passes been completed. So 49ers are the best team in the NFC. Dallas has played fantastic. I understand last week or yesterday was against a Zach Wilson-led Jets offense, but they've allowed 10 points in 2 weeks, and that's saying a whole heck of a lot. Philadelphia, I still think they're, amongst the Super Bowl contenders just because of that roster and what we saw last year. And in terms of Jalen Hurts, he just needs to be more consistent, be more decisive, and look like the Jalen Hurts we saw last year. But as of right now, I think it's 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles in the NFC.
Jarrett Bailey of the USA Today. Jarrett, terrific stuff, man. Know you're busy this time of year. Thank you as always. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
1010XL is your home for play-by-play of Bishop Kenny football.
This is Coach Krause of the Bishop Kenny Crusaders. We're back home for homecoming on Friday night, taking on West Nassau. You can catch all the action live on 92.5 FM.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings, sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
Wingstop is here, and we're serving up some serious flavor. Classic wings, boneless wings, tenders, chicken sandwich, we have it all. Download the Wingstop app or order online at wingstop.com from the new Wingstop at 96604 Argyle Forest Boulevard.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Bailiff, what's the next case?
Judge, the defendant has been accused of pouring cooking grease down the kitchen sink.
I didn't know where to put it, Your Honor.
See? Guilty!
Who's the plaintiff?
His wife, Your Honor.
Are there damages?
No, Your Honor. I called for help and the drain was fixed.
Who did you call?
For any drain issues, just call the Duck. The pros at Duck Duck Rooter.
When you're stuck, call the Duck.
904-862-6769.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools. One bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
If you can't get enough college football, get ready for the games with the Bueller Air Conditioning. Saturday kickoff.
It's your local Saturday morning college football pregame show with me, Matt Hayes, Shannon Snell.
Brought to you by Sonny's Barbecue on 1010XL.
At Andy's Automotive and Truck Services, they know that your company's fleet is more than just a bunch of cars and trucks. It's your livelihood, your reputation, your pride. So when you need routine fleet maintenance or emergency repairs, Andy's offers after-hours and mobile service to minimize your downtime and keep your fleet running like new. While you care for your employees and customers, rest assured Andy's Automotive will take care of your fleet. Visit the team at andysats.com.
Make sure your home is protected this hurricane season by scheduling a complimentary roof inspection with Universal Roof and Contracting. And right now, get 10% off roof replacement and repairs. The first 50 callers will save an additional $500 on a full roof replacement. And this offer expires September 30th and restrictions apply. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 1330747, CVC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
Learn the the secrets to bring your A game on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Yeah, well, you really crushed that ball off the tee, I'll tell you what.
Learn the latest on new equipment from all the major manufacturers on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Fall is approaching, and that means another great event at Tobacco Cove. Come and enjoy a great cigar and support a worthy cause at the same time. The Oliva Helping Hands Charitable Foundation cigar is being featured to raise funds for the Oliva Escuela Elemental, a Montessori-style school and daycare for the children of Nicaragua. Join us at Tobacco Cove Saturday from 1 to 4 for food, prizes, and great deals. Enjoy the best that Oliva has to offer and help some kids in the process.
Discover the difference that local expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Visit their showroom at the Avenues and browse high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Your musculoskeletal system carries the body, meaning that it maintains the structure against gravity. If you want your joints to stay healthy and seek the simplest solution, the best answer is to lose weight. Don't forget, the more weight you put onto your joints, the more pressure and stress there is on your hips and knees. This translates to more pain if you're already having issues. Losing weight is the quickest way to alleviate joint pain and boost your joint health. Go Jags.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This just in on Hacker After Dark.
All right, keeping you updated on Monday Night Football. Right now in Charlotte, New Orleans, Carolina tied 6-6, 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. The story of the night, though, is in Pittsburgh, 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Cleveland Browns lead the Steelers 11-7, but we had one of those injuries that you don't want to watch on replay, and unfortunately it was to a very, very good player. Former Georgia Bulldog running back, star running back for the Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb, down near the Steelers' goal line, went airborne, and Denmark, I guess the best way to describe it is he went airborne, and it's almost as if his cleat got caught in the turf or in the pile, and his leg didn't go with the rest of his body, I guess is a way to summarize it.
Yeah, it was very similar to the Marcus Lattimore when he played Tennessee.
It's bad. It's bad. If you're queasy, don't look at it. He got carted off. I'll tell you how bad it was that the Pittsburgh crowd in the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game was chanting Nick Chubb's name as they were carting him off. So just a bad scene there in Cleveland. For whatever it's worth, the Browns scored a touchdown on the very next play. Deshaun Watson to Jerome Ford, who is Chubb's backup. Now, obviously, the starting running back. So Cleveland up 11-7. Denmark, as you mentioned, Kareem Hunt, former Brown, is still available. Leonard Fournette, still available on the open market for free agent running backs, getting it back to a football sense. But you would have to think that Nick Chubb's injury, if that's not a season-ending injury, I don't know what is. We don't want to jump too far ahead of the story, but he was ruled out 2 minutes after he got carted back.
Yeah, and a lot of these running backs want a lot of money, and they wanted long-term contracts. Think about it. You just had Chubb. Saquon Barkley's probably going to be out for a couple weeks. Austin Eckler just missed.
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't help their case.
No, it's a good point. Look, football's a dangerous sport. You know what you sign up for, but good grief. Prayers up for Nick Chubb tonight. Hopefully it's not as bad as it appeared. But again, Cleveland 11-7 up on Pittsburgh. 9 minutes to go in the first half. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Saints and Panthers all knotted up at 6 apiece. We have not forgot about the world of college football. Florida, a gigantic win over Tennessee Saturday night. This upcoming Saturday is Florida State Clemson. It's Notre Dame, Ohio State, Colorado, Oregon. What a weekend it's going to be. Mike Huguenin has covered the world of college football for many, many years. He's one of my favorites to talk college ball with, and he's next on a Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you, talking college ball with Mike Huguenin next on Hacker After Dark.
John Osher stars as O in Oh No's. Yeah. Wednesdays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Johnny O knows the Jags like nobody else. Brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mike Dempsey here. As you all know, I've decided to take control of my weight, and I called Awaken 180. Why? Because there's no BS, no gimmicks, no crash diets, no magic pills. You won't find me sweating it out at the gym every day either. Just 3 weeks with Awaken 180, I've shed over 17 pounds. I mean, my shorts are already falling off me. I'm down to a 36 waist, about to be wearing 34s, a size I haven't worn probably since high school. But here's the kicker. It's not just about losing weight. I'm learning along the way. My coach, Mandy, she is a rock star. She listens, gives me tips, and adjusts my program to keep things moving. And to back up their claim as the solution for weight loss, I'll receive free support for life after reaching my goal. So whether you've got 20 pounds or 30 pounds to drop like me, or maybe have 50 or 100 pounds to lose, Awaken 180 is the choice to make. Call them at 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800. Or check them out online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
There are only 10 Friday nights in a high school football season. That's why every one counts. After the game, join Hacker and Andrew Gibson.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists Friday Night Lights.
Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
This is your Mad Dads Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. Mad Dads is asking for good, committed men who want to be part of an organization that has been around for 17 years. We are a group that is part of the solution, not the problem. We are a group that don't stand around murmuring and complaining, but get into action and hit the streets to get the community to break the code of silence to remove the murderers off our streets. We do not require a lot of time, just willing and able bodies to get involved. We've had far too many murders this year already not to get involved. If you want to be part of this great organization, call 904-718-1649. We're looking for men, not men acting like boys. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dads Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDadsJacksonville.com.
Whether you are looking for a job or an employer trying to hire, there's only one stop in Jacksonville, Remedy Staffing. Labor trends keep us guessing. As employers, the job market has been strong. So what does that mean for workers' availability? If you're interested in the workforce solutions or how the Remedy team can help you, call or text Crystal at 904-329-9802. 329-9802, Remedy Staffing.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
E.T. here for the Aesthetic Center. Come on, guys. It's time to shed that dad bod and score sculpted abs in just 4 easy treatments of the M-Sculpt Neo with Dr. Rappaport. Each treatment is equal to 20,000 crunches. No downtime, and it's not invasive. No more hiding under them baggy shirts. Get ready to show off your six-pack like your boy on game day. Call 808-2455 to get started. That's 808-2455. Or book an appointment online at JacksonSteadyCenter.com.
Men suffering from ED or PE, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. For a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. You'll even get a gift that enhances performance in the bedroom. Call 904-664-8217.
Post-game Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Monday evening, and we are glad you are with us. Boy, what a big win for the Florida Gators on Saturday night over Tennessee, as Billy Napier gets his biggest win as the Gators head coach, and Florida State. They got a big one this upcoming Saturday as they head to Clemson to take on Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. Let's look at all of it with Mike Huguenin, who's covered the world of college football for many, many years, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mike, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Doing well, and this has been an extremely interesting college season, and we're only 3 weeks in. So this coming up weekend obviously is one of the biggest of the entire season, but what's happened so far has been eye-opening in some respects, no question.
Mike, how big was the win Saturday night for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators?
No, I think it was a big one. The most interesting stat I took away from that game, Tennessee had 17 senior starters. Florida played 3 seniors total.
Wow.
Florida has an extremely young team. Obviously, there's a lot Florida can improve on, but this is a program I think that Napier, in a relatively short time, has sort of put his imprint on the roster. They're a lot faster than they were defensively even 2 years ago. Austin Armstrong looks to have been a really good hire at defensive coordinator, and they're playing a ton of guys defensively through the first 3 weeks as well. But I think it will calm the waters a little bit. I think Ron Zook coined the phrase noise in the system. There's not much noise in the system right now for Florida.
Well, and truly, and look, Graham Mertz, people were very lukewarm on him, but they did not lose the Utah game because of Mertz. I think Mertz has been just fine, Mike, to be honest with you.
Right, and I think the interesting thing about Mertz, you watched him play at Wisconsin, and he was an extremely poor decision maker, forced passes, and looked, frankly, uncomfortable for 3 years. And I think that Napier and the Florida staff looked at Mertz and said, okay, this guy is playing in an archaic offense, which was true, and let's see what he does when he plays in an offense that's a little bit more like the one he played in high school in the Kansas City area, in which it was almost a version of the run and shoot. Mertz rarely was in the shotgun at Wisconsin. He's almost always in the shotgun at Florida. His accuracy so far has been phenomenal, completing 75% of his passes through 3 games. Anthony Richardson finished last year completing 54% of his passes. Mertz was above 60 once at Wisconsin. Florida's deep passing game has been lacking. Unquestionably. I think part of that, though, is I'm not sure how much they truly trust their offensive line yet. And on Saturday, they really didn't need to throw the long ball. They were slicing and dicing Tennessee with short and intermediate range passes. Mertz has been sort of a revelation. And, before the season, I think it was Mertz is going to be one of the 3 or 4 worst quarterbacks in the league. I think through 3 weeks, he's one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the league, though there's a caveat there. The SEC does not have many good quarterbacks, which is a reason the teams are struggling. But Mertz, you're right, Mertz was not the issue in week 1, and it looks like he's not going to be the issue at any point this season. He looks to be doing exactly what Napier thought he would do. And with Florida's running game, that's all they need him to do right now. Obviously, again, this is not a fully formed offense yet. My presumption is they will get more comfortable with the offensive line as the season progresses. Remember, Micah Makuza, the Baylor transfer, missed a big portion of spring practice with 2 injuries. So these guys really have not played together all that much. So I think Florida's offensive line improves as the season goes on, and they, frankly, in the running game at least, they dominated Tennessee's defensive front on Saturday.
Mike Huguenin has covered college football for many years. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Mike, final Gator thought. Look, I don't want to get too far ahead of the story here, but Charlotte at Kentucky, Vanderbilt at South Carolina, I mean, potentially, South Carolina and Kentucky on the road are tough, but they could go on a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, and I think if they play as well as they did in the first half against Tennessee, against Kentucky and South Carolina, I think they're winning those games. But you're right, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves. Again, this is not a fully formed offense. They have struggled mightily with Kentucky home and road the past few seasons. They lost in their last trip to Columbia, and that was not a good South Carolina team. So there's work to be done, but I think if you're a Florida fan after the first game and all the mistakes they made, you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a long season. All of a sudden now, it's the clouds have lifted at least for a while, and there is reason to think that, hey, this team has a chance to win 8 games. I don't know if they're going to, but again, beating Tennessee is a big-time boost for the program, and certainly did help that there were a heck of a lot of recruits in Gainesville on Saturday, big-time recruits for both 2024 and 2025. They had to come away extremely impressed with the environment. It was loud, the crowd was into it, and Florida played well.
Yeah, it was a great night in that regard. I actually saw a photo of Napier 11:30 after the game.
Almost midnight, hanging out with recruits. And that's, always be recruiting. He definitely does that, which is a vast difference from his predecessor.
Yeah, I don't know when the guy sleeps, no question about that. All right, Mike, Florida State, prior to Saturday, you would have thought might have been the best team in the country. They go to Boston College, a BC team that survived Holy Cross in week 2, and Florida State, quite frankly, was lucky to get out of there with a win.
Yeah, but I think the takeaway, for that game is FSU played abysmal for half the game, abysmal football for half the game against a bad BC team, and yet they still won. And that's, good teams, you can't play at extremely high level 12 weeks in a row. Heck, you can't even play at a high level, forget extremely high 12 weeks in a row. You're gonna lay some eggs. And Florida State laid an egg, and they still won. I think they get up 31-10. They throttle back, start looking ahead to next week, and, oh, my God, we're still in the dogfight here. So the takeaway for me from that game is FSU played a bad football game and still won, and that's what good teams do. They can survive a bad outing. I don't think that was the case. It wasn't the case last year, and it certainly wasn't the case in either of Norvell's first 2 seasons. This is a good team, a veteran team. I don't think you'll see them lose focus that badly again this season.
The interesting thing about this game against Clemson on Saturday, potentially it could be a precursor to an ACC championship game because there are, of course, no more divisions in the ACC. But aside from that, 3 weeks ago, I think Florida State was looked at as the underdog in this game. I think now a majority of the country is going to pick Florida State to go in there and beat Clemson. Clearly, what we've seen, Mike, Florida State appears to be the better team, but can they go into Death Valley and get a victory? That's obviously
right.
What we'll find out.
The crowd is going to play a role, and I think there's no question but that FSU is better offensively. You look at Clemson's offense, okay, their running backs are solid. The quarterback has a lot of potential. Their wide receivers, boy, that's a group of 5 wide receivers. And then you look at FSU, Jordan Travis, who's, I think, replaced Chris Wanke. He's been there so long. Trey Benson's a stud. They got good receivers. Keon Coleman was a jewel out of the portal. Johnny Wilson is a nice number 2 guy. They got tight ends. They have a veteran offensive line now. Offensively, they are much better than Clemson. Defensively, I think Clemson's the better defense. I'm not sure it's going to matter, though. Florida State's defense certainly is not bad. I think it's good enough to win this game. Maybe Clemson has held some stuff in sort of reserve offensively, but again, you look at their receivers, and if you're an FSU defensive back, you're thinking these dudes don't scare me at all. And our pass rush, if it gets home, Cade Klubnik's in for a long night, and I think FSU is going to win. And you're right, before the season started, I'm thinking, okay, FSU could start 2-2. Instead, I think they're starting 4-0. And I think last week was sort of a wake-up call in some respects because, again, I think the focus, Norvell can harp on that all week. You got to be focused throughout a game, and I think FSU will be fully focused on Saturday. And you're right, I think FSU looks a heck of a lot better than Clemson, unquestionably.
A couple of more from Mike Huguenin, covering the world of college football here with us on 1010XL in the city of Jacksonville. Mike, we mentioned the Southeastern Conference. There have been some massive struggles in non-conference play. You alluded to it earlier, maybe the lack of quarterback play. Is that the main reason the SEC, in your opinion, struggling to this point?
Yeah, I think you look at Alabama, extremely talented roster, quarterbacks who aren't very good. I guess Saban said earlier today that Jalen Milroe will start Saturday when they play Ole Miss, and I think he's the best of a mediocre lot. And I'll be honest, I think part of that is their offensive philosophy. Jalen Milroe is a extremely mobile quarterback who would thrive in an RPO setting. Quit trying to make him a drop-back passer. Let him get on the edge. Open up some passing lanes for him. Alabama's receivers haven't done much yet. I think there is some talent there, unlike Clemson, whose receivers haven't done much, and I'm not sure there is talent there. Alabama's got some talented receivers. Their defense is fine. Their offensive line's another spot where, boy, that is not an Alabama offensive line. And, maybe when you have 360-pound offensive tackles, maybe they need to be 325 or 330 because you watch their offensive tackles, and those guys, I can say it because I'm a big guy, they look fat and slow. And that's not a good recipe when you play teams that have good athletes on defense. But I think, the game being in Tuscaloosa on Saturday is a gigantic positive for the Tide. Georgia had a horrible first half against South Carolina before Carson Beck sort of caught on. I think the biggest thing for the SEC this year indeed has been relatively lackluster quarterback play. Spencer Rattler's been okay when he's been upright, but their offensive line, I'm not sure, can block a Pop Warner team. Kentucky has not looked sharp offensively. Joe Milton is a big-time downgrade from Hendon Hooker at Tennessee. Jaden Daniels is playing well except for about 2 quarters of the opener. But those 2 quarters cost LSU the game. Jackson Dart's playing okay at Ole Miss. They've played nobody yet. Mississippi State, Will Rogers looks lost in that offense. Auburn's quarterbacks are worse than Alabama's, and that's a pretty damning indictment. It's not a lot of good quarterbacks in the SEC this year.
No, it's not. I think you laid it out perfectly, which, again, the SEC really, really bad, at least not up to their standard when it comes to these non-conference games. Quickly, Mike, from a national point of view, obviously the big story is Colorado. Boy, I thought the Colorado State Love Fest on ESPN was borderline nauseating. I mean, it was an infomercial for Colorado and Deion Sanders, but that aside, I get it. It's a big story. They're 3-0, although I think reality might set in very quickly on Saturday there against Oregon.
Yeah, they have Oregon and USC back-to-back. And if you watch the Colorado State game, you saw a quarterback making his first college start for Colorado State dissect the Colorado secondary. Bo Nix is, 32 or 33 years old. Caleb Williams is the reigning Heisman winner. I got to think that when they watch tape of Colorado secondary, they're like, oh, my goodness, we can't wait to get on the field and throw against those guys, especially now that Travis Hunter is out for 3 more weeks. So Colorado is a great story. I mean, that was you got to give Deion credit. Love him or dislike him. The way he's doing things is working. That was a brutally bad team last year. The worst Power 5 team by about 50 miles. The fact that they look extremely likely to go to a bowl game this year is proof that Deion knows how to coach. He still does not have a very talented roster, though. And I agree with you. I think the next 2 weeks are going to be they're going to slam into the wall the next 2 weeks. But, again, the fact that Colorado is a national story, that's what they wanted when they hired Deion, and they have gotten a heck of a lot more, I think, than even Colorado supporters could even have in their wildest dreams. Because, heck, he was on 60 Minutes last night.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
absolutely
it
incredible.
is a great story, but I think I think they're going to go from 3-0 to 3-2 relatively quickly.
Yeah, with Oregon and USC, as you mentioned. Final moments here with Mike Huguenin. All right, Mike, Notre Dame, Ohio State's a big one. Nationally, from a broad sense, who are the 4 or 5 best teams right now in the country?
Right now, I think the number one team is Washington. I'm a huge Michael Penix fan, a kid from Tampa, transferred from Indiana. I mean, he's throwing for 400 yards a game, and he's played 2 legitimate foes. And Michigan State, yes, is sort of team turmoil. They're not abjectly horrible, though. He torched them. And in the first week of the season, he made Boise State. He embarrassed Boise State. And that's a program that's a proud program. They blew them out of the water. Georgia's still the most talented team. Still not sold on Ohio State, though they did look a lot better this past weekend. And Western Kentucky can throw the ball, and Ohio State shut them down. Western Kentucky's defense is not good, but their offense is legit because of quarterback Austin Reed, a kid from St. Augustine. They shut Western Kentucky down. Still not sure about Michigan. They played no one, and they really haven't looked great playing no one. And USC, I'm still interested in seeing how good they are. And I would have said Texas last week, but, with Alabama struggling to put away USF and then Texas struggling to beat Wyoming, I'm not sure. But right now, my top 4, I think, would be Washington, Georgia, Ohio State, and maybe USC, because I think USC has looked better playing bad teams than Michigan has.
Hey, Mike, leave us with this. In your neck of the woods down in Orlando, they're getting ready for their first Big 12 game, right, coming up against Kansas State. Are they excited down there? Is there excitement about it?
It's incredible. They are going to be missing John Rice Plumlee, though, their quarterback. Timmy McClain's the backup. It's interesting. His main target in high school here in Orlando was Jimmy Horn, who's now at Colorado and a stud at Colorado. They both went to USF. They both transferred. I think the UCF defense will hold up for the most part against Kansas State. I don't know, though. Timmy McClain is not the runner that John Rice Plumlee is, so I think UCF is going to lose its first Big 12 game. But, yeah, I think UCF sort of feels vindicated. We're in the big time now. We're one of the Power Five. Pay attention to us. On a legitimate, don't pay attention to us because we claim a national title. Pay attention to us now because we're going to make some noise in the Big 12. I think if Plumlee were playing, UCF's chances for an upset would be much greater. But I think Timmy McClain is, again, the fact that he doesn't have the wheels that Plumlee has is going to hurt UCF on Saturday.
Mike Huguenin is an absolute college football encyclopedia, and we always love having him right here on 1010XL. Mike, really appreciate the time, man. We'll do it again soon.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
And thank you to my friend Mike Huguenin, who's covered the world of college football for many years, and I mean it, man. That guy is an absolute encyclopedia when it comes to college football, and we certainly appreciate him taking time out for us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. My big takeaways of the night. Well, number one, going back to the Jaguars' loss yesterday, look, it's not the end of the world, all right? It's one game. The Jaguars are 1-1. They have a clearly inferior opponent coming in Houston, but you got to be careful. Again, Houston was clearly inferior last year when they came in here and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. But if you beat Houston, you're 2-1 with a couple of games in London. If you split the London games, you're 3-2. So that's what you have to think about moving forward. Not all is lost. You lost an opportunity, but certainly not all is lost. And another takeaway was Florida on Saturday. I mean, what an impressive performance in beating Tennessee. And not just beating Tennessee, beating up the Tennessee Volunteers. To me, the biggest win for Billy Napier in his short stint at Florida to this point. It has completely changed the narrative, at least for now, on the direction of the Gator program, and that certainly is a good thing for the University of Florida. Well, that'll just about do it for what has been a very busy Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. certainly want to thank you guys for hanging out with us this evening. We have a lot of people to thank. Again, Mike Huguenin has covered the world of college football for many years, and we always appreciate him joining us on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Jared Bailey of the USA Today for stopping by, reviewing the Jaguars and the Chiefs. We looked around the AFC South and took an early look ahead to the Jaguars and the Texans this Sunday at Everbank Stadium. And in hour number one, my man Dave Campo. It's always Monday night coaching with Campo. He's our head coach here on Hacker After Dark, and you get him each and every Monday right here on 1010XL. We will be back tomorrow night on a Tuesday. Are you kidding me? Jacksonville, Florida. Let me ask you something. Where else would you rather be from 10 o'clock to midnight than right here on Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday with Dylan Denmark and yours truly? And we certainly hope that you do join us for our late night show tomorrow evening. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I am the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Monday evening, and we will do it all over again tomorrow night on a Tuesday beginning at 10 o'clock. Until then,